The bell rang sharply, signaling the start of the second period. The students shuffled into their high school civics class, chatting and laughing as they took their seats. The classroom was decorated with posters of historical figures, maps of the United States, and a large banner at the front that read, "Respect and open dialogue are the foundations of democracy." The teacher, a passionate and outspoken educator in her early 40s, prided herself on fostering a space where students could freely discuss ideas. That morning, as the students settled in, she noticed one student wearing a bright red "Make America Great Again" hat. He was sitting quietly at his desk, flipping through his notebook, seemingly unaware of the attention his hat was drawing. The teacher's chest tightened. She had seen that slogan before, not just on hats but on posters and social media, often in the context of heated arguments or even outright hostility. She glanced around the room and noticed a few other students whispering, their eyes flicking toward the hat. The teacher cleared her throat and walked to the front of the room. "All right, everyone, settle down," she said, her voice crisp and authoritative. "Let's get started." She tried to ignore the hat, focusing on her lesson about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. But as she lectured, her gaze kept drifting back to it. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. "Excuse me," she said, addressing the boy directly. The room fell silent as every head turned to look at him. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" The boy looked up, his expression confused but compliant. "Sure," he said, standing up and following her to the hallway. Once the door closed behind them, the teacher crossed her arms and fixed him with a firm gaze. "I need you to remove that hat," she said bluntly. The boy blinked, clearly caught off guard. "Why?" he asked. "It's just a hat." "It's not just a hat," she replied, her voice tight. "It's a symbol, and it's creating a hostile environment in my classroom." The boy frowned, his confusion giving way to frustration. "I'm not doing anything wrong," he said. "I'm just sitting there minding my own business. How is that hostile?" "It's the message," she said. "Some of your classmates might feel uncomfortable or even unsafe because of what that hat represents." The boy's jaw tightened. "So, because other people don't like it, I'm not allowed to wear it? What about my rights? What about freedom of speech?" The teacher hesitated. She hadn't expected him to push back so strongly. "Freedom of speech has its limits," she said, "and in this classroom we prioritize respect and inclusivity. That hat undermines both." The boy crossed his arms. "I'm not taking it off," he said firmly. "If you want to write me up or send me to the principal, go ahead, but I'm not breaking any rules." The teacher stared at him, her frustration mounting. She couldn't believe his audacity, his refusal to acknowledge how his actions affected those around him. Finally, she sighed and gestured toward the office. "Fine," she said. "Let's go talk to the principal." In the principal's office, they explained their sides of the story. The principal, a level-headed man with years of experience handling delicate situations, listened carefully. When they finished, he leaned back in his chair and folded his hands. "I understand both of your perspectives," he said slowly, "but I have to side with the student on this one." The teacher's eyes widened. "What?" she exclaimed. "You're okay with him disrupting the class and making other students feel uncomfortable?" The principal held up a hand to calm her. "Let me clarify," he said. "The student isn't disrupting the class. He's sitting quietly wearing a hat. The discomfort you're describing is based on perception, not action. And as far as our school policy is concerned, he's not violating any rules. That being said, I encourage you to think about how your actions impact others. You have every right to wear that hat, but with rights come responsibilities. Be mindful of how you're perceived and how that might affect your relationships with your peers." The boy nodded. "I understand," he said. "But I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just believe in what the hat stands for." The principal nodded. "Fair enough. You're free to go back to class." The boy left, his hat still firmly on his head. The teacher stayed behind, her frustration boiling over. The boy re-entered the room, and while a few students cast him wary glances, most quickly returned their attention to the lesson. Over the next few days, the incident weighed heavily on her mind. She realized that while her intentions had been good, Her approach had only escalated the tension. The following week, she addressed the class. "I want to talk about what happened last week," she began. "I made a mistake. I let my personal feelings get in the way of creating a space where everyone feels respected. From now on, I want us to focus on listening to each other and understanding different perspectives, even when we disagree." The students seemed surprised but appreciative of her honesty. The boy in the hat gave her a small nod, and for the first time, she felt like they were truly on the same page. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts in the comments, leave a like, and subscribe for more meaningful content.